Recent previews of Assassin's Creed Origins have finally confirmed once and for all that the game does in fact feature microtransactions and loot boxes. In other news, water is wet. The first time we got a whiff of them was a few weeks ago on October 5th, when footage showing something called Heka chests began circulating the internet. The item's description states, contains one random weapon or shield, opens automatically on purchase. Everything from the item's naming convention to its function sure sound familiar, don't they? People were relieved to notice, however, that the item only listed a price for the in-game currency, drachma. The purchasable Helix credits that the series is known for was nowhere to be found, and many hoped that it would stay that way. From there, a few days later, on October 9th, Eurogamer released an article in which Assassin's Creed Origins director Ashraf Ismail explained the nature of these Heka chests. The article began by stating that these chests are only purchasable with in-game currency, and are there for those people who like to play the game naturally and pad out their wallets. Ismail further elaborated with, Heda also sells a mystery box which can contain any weapon, piece of gear, or item in the game. It's a way for people who hoard lots of money, if you min-max the economy system, to gamble the money and get really unique stuff. However, Eurogamer's article raised concerns when the editor noticed in his play session that Origins featured a menu for an in-game store called the eStore. Unfortunately, they couldn't access and browse through it, as the shop servers weren't online at the time, but a store menu apparently listed things like season passes and time saver pack options. Ismail did reassure, however, that everything that's in the eStore you can get from playing the game. It's just an accelerated way of playing the game. So he basically gave your typical bullshit justification on why microtransactions exist at all, but at least he confirmed that no content is exclusive to micro-purchases. But yeah, at this point, now that the eStore was spotted, it was pretty much confirmed that Helix credits or something similar would be making a return. But the question still remained, will the eStore implement its own microtransactions-based loot box system that's separate from Heka chests? Will the game somehow enable players to gamble real money for virtual rewards? Well, we finally have an answer, and based on what recent previews of the game had to say, the answer is that while it's true you can only purchase Heka chests with drachma, you can also exchange Helix credits for drachma. So it's a proxy microtransactions loot box system where you're not purchasing them directly with purchasable currency, but you can still use purchasable currency to get the in-game currency that will allow you to buy them. In other words, yes, the game does technically allow you to use real money to gamble for in-game rewards, even if more indirectly. The good news is that all previews seem to universally agree that Helix credits seem to be completely unnecessary to play the game. Nobody has complained about a situation in which they felt that the game's difficulty, progression, or pacing was skewed to encourage microtransactions purchases. Just about everyone seemed to agree that the game offers a steady stream of money, weapons, armor, items, gear, resources, costumes, so on and so forth. Not to mention that you also have the option to save up drachma in-game and purchase Heka chests without having to spend a single real-world cent to spin that slot machine. Obviously, the final verdict is still out on how much tangible impact the eStore will have on the core experience until we start seeing some reviews and until players get a chance to get their hands on the game. But so far, from what I've seen and heard, microtransactions in Assassin's Creed Origins at the very least seem overall unintrusive. That doesn't mean I'm fine with their inclusion though, let's make that clear. They are still a distraction that leave a sour taste in my mouth, as we are still talking about turning cheat codes into a monetization scheme. Players shouldn't have to pay money to accelerate their playthrough of the game. That used to be something you could just do for free. It used to be a choice you could just make without financial considerations. More importantly, there should be no avenue in which players can spend money to spin the wheel of fortune, no matter how indirectly the system is implemented. Microtransactions shouldn't be there at all. Period. But as long as they have no tangible impact on the game's balance, difficulty, progression, and pacing, and as long as they blend in the background and can easily be ignored, people may still be able to have a good time with Assassin's Creed Origins. The fact that Heka chests can only be purchased through in-game merchants without listing Helix credits anywhere, and without forcing you to go to the e-store to purchase and open them so that the game can constantly remind you of its abhorrent existence is already a huge plus. That's already a significant step up over something like Shadow of War, where there was this constant reminder of the market's existence, where even if you just intended on using in-game currency to purchase the loot chests, you still had to go to the market and be reminded that they can be purchased with real money. From what I've seen and heard, Assassin's Creed Origins generally seems to do a better job of not constantly pinging, poking, and prodding you with reminders and notifications to, hey, check out the eShop, hey, look what we got, hey, give us money. That's the least I can hope for, that it's something players can just completely forget about from beginning to end. Anyway, there you go, folks, the basics of how microtransactions and loot boxes work in Assassin's Creed Origins. Long story short, yes, you can still technically gamble with real money for rewards, which sucks, but at least it's less direct and it all seems to be unnecessary and forgettable. Let's hope it stays that way. With that, I would like to end this news update. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you found this video useful, and if you enjoy my content, consider supporting me on Patreon. All contributions will go towards helping us remain 100% independent. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Yong Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Yong out!